In a jungle, there lived a little mouse, Squeaky. He was so tiny that he was always afraid of the other big animals. That night, he found a cloth lying near his house. He thought for a while, and soon he realized that it was a pillow cover humans use. "I can have some fun with this," laughed the mouse. Squeaky drew 2 eyes and lips with that pen. It was made in such a way that it was appearing to be a ghost. As night was approaching, all the big animals started to go back to their houses. As Rabbit passed by, he saw a shadow of the ghost. He ran away at once. Soon, the deer came across the same path and cried in fear. The mouse was really enjoying this. Even the king of the jungle was now afraid of him. One day, there was a huge thunderstorm. The animals had no choice but to cross that scary path. All the trees had fallen, and because of that, the rest of the paths were blocked. Soon, Rabbit crossed that path and he saw the ghost. The rabbit jumped out of fear. But to his surprise, the white cloth flew away, and inside it, there was Squeaky. Soon, all the animals gathered there and drove the mouse away. He could never return to the jungle. Moral of the story: you can fool some people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Once upon a time, there was a beaver living in the forest named Furry. He had lots of friends and liked to play outside. One day a big wolf came and started saying, "This is my forest, and I am bigger and stronger than you. So you will have to move out of the forest by tomorrow, or I will destroy your house." Later that night, Furry and his friends were thinking what to do. Furry suggested that they should build a trap to catch the wolf and teach him a lesson that there is somebody stronger than him. The beavers decided it would be a deep hole covered with sticks on it. One of the beavers exclaimed, "How are we going to do that?" Furry suggested that they could ask the rabbits for help to build the trap. About 1 hour later, the beavers went to the rabbits' burrow and explained what was going to happen tomorrow in the morning. The rabbits agreed to help. It took them the entire night, but they finished it by the morning. In the morning, they all hid up in the trees. The wolf came and barked at them to pack their bags and leave the forest immediately. Since the wolf wasn't looking where he was going, he fell into the trap. All the animals came and saw that the wolf was trapped in the hole. The wolf kept asking so they could let him out of the hole, but Furry said, "We would have, but since you have been so mean to us, we will not let you out of the hole." Then the wolf promised that he will never tell them to move out of the forest and be mean to them. Furry and his friends forgave the wolf, and they got a big stick and dropped it down the hole so that the wolf could climb out. Moral of the story: don't be mean to others, or you will get it back. Once in a jungle, a big bear and a naughty monkey were great friends. They used to have a lot of fun together. However, the monkey always used to copy the bear. He wanted to become just like his friend. One day, when they were sitting together, the monkey again started to copy him. On seeing this, the bear asked, "My dear friend monkey, why are you copying me?" "You are so big and strong, bear. I want to become just like you," the monkey replied. "You are so spry and active. Don't think about what I am. You are awesome too," the bear told his friend. Suddenly, the bear spotted a big pot of honey near the mango tree. The bear ran at once and grabbed the fresh pot of honey. I am going to have great fun with it," he said, licking his hand. "Bear, can I have some of it?" asked the monkey. The bear gave the monkey a small gulp of honey. The monkey loved the taste of it, but Monkey was disappointed with his friend because he had given him a very small gulp of honey. The bear told him that this much was enough for the monkey. Soon the bear picked up the pot and hid it in his den before someone else could steal it. "Bear never gives me honey. I think that is the secret of his strength. But this time, I'll not let him keep his secret," the monkey thought to himself. He quietly entered the bear's den and stole the pot of honey. The next day, Bear went in search of his friend. The bear went to Monkey's house to check if the monkey was doing well. The monkey was suffering from acute stomachache. When the bear saw the empty pot of honey, he understood what exactly had happened. The monkey was crying out of pain and said, "I just wanted to be like you." To this, the bear said, "You can't be me by simply copying me. Only we bear can digest so much of honey. That's why I gave you a little bit." Immediately, the bear called the doctor to comfort his friend. Since then, the monkey never tried to copy anyone. He had learned his lesson. Moral of the story: copying others blindly can be very harmful. The stag story. A stag was once drinking water at a pool. He saw his own reflection in the clear water. He admired his beautiful horns, but he did not like his lean, thin legs. One day, a lion began to chase him. He ran into the jungle to save himself. His legs soon carried him far from the lion, but his horns were caught fast in a bush. Despite his best efforts, he could not free himself. Now he felt that his ugly legs were of great help to him, but his beautiful horns were the reason for him to suffer. Moral of the story: all that glitters is not gold. The Farmer and the Crane story. One day, a hunter set a net to catch birds and placed grains over the net. After some time, a flock of pigeons comes by and starts eating grains, getting caught in the net. They tried to escape but could not fly. They started to lose hope. Then their leader asked them to fly together up in the sky. They did as they were told and carried the net away. The hunter ran after them, but they fled to their friend's mouse hole. The mouse asked them, "What happened to you all?" The pigeons narrated the entire story. The mouse cut the net with his friends and set the pigeons free. Moral of the story: unity is strength.
Once upon a time, in a desert far away, there was a rose who was so proud of her beautiful looks. Her only complaint was growing next to an ugly cactus. Every day, the beautiful rose would insult and mock the cactus on his looks, all while the cactus remained quiet. All the other plants nearby tried to make the rose see sense, but she was too swayed by her own looks. One scorching summer, the desert became dry and there was no water left for the plants. The rose quickly began to wilt. Her beautiful petals dried up, losing their lush color. Looking to the cactus, she saw a sparrow dip his beak into the cactus to drink some water. Though ashamed, the rose asked the cactus if she could have some water. The kind cactus readily agreed, helping them both through the tough summer as friends. Morale of the story: never judge anyone by the way they look.
Once upon a time, there lived a washerman in the town. He had 2 pets, a dog and a donkey. The dog used to keep watch on his house the whole day long. The donkey used to carry the washerman's load to and from the riverside. One night, the washerman was sleeping soundly, and a thief came into the house. The dog, too, was fast asleep, so he did not bark at the thief, but the donkey was awake. He saw the thief and thought to awaken his master. So he began to bray loudly. The thief ran away in fear. On listening the braying of the donkey, the washerman could not sleep. He came out and could not understand why he was braying. To make him quiet, he started beating the donkey with a stick, but the washerman's house was saved. One day, a yucky pig was drenching himself in a lake. A thirsty lion came to drink the water, but due to bad odor, he went away. The crazy pig thought that the lion is afraid of pig and challenged him for a fight. "Maybe tomorrow," replied the lion, and turned away from the stinky pig. The pig went back his home and told everything to his parents. "What have you done to yourself, stupid pig? It's not you, but your foul odor that made the lion ran away," explained his father. The yucky pig's excitement broke into pieces straight away. His father suggested that he should deliberately roll in the dirty water so that he might stink more and more and then meet the lion. The pig agreed and listened to his father. As soon as the lion approached the pig, the foul odor spread all around, and the lion could not near it, and he ran away. Since then, pigs always keep themselves dirty so that no animal might come near them. Once there was a fox and a stork. The fox was selfish, but he decided to invite the stork for dinner. The invitation made Stork very delighted, and she arrived at the fox's house on time, knocking on the door with her long beak. The fox escorted her to the supper table and gave them both soup in shallow bowls. She couldn't eat any soup since the bowl was too shallow for her. The fox, on the other hand, quickly lapped up his soup. The stork was upset and irritated, but she didn't show it. She asked the fox to supper the next day to teach him a lesson. She served soup in 2 tall thin vases as well. The stork sipped the soup from the vase, but the fox was unable to do so due to his small neck. The fox realized he had made a mistake. Moral of the story: never be selfish. One day, a group of birds were flying in search of food. They were being led by their king. They flew the whole day long, but could not get anything to eat. In the evening, they took shelter on a tree. The next morning, the king divided the birds into 4 groups and asked them to go in 4 different directions and look for food grains. The birds flew in different directions and started looking for food. They all got tidbits to eat. They also saved some for the king. One of the birds got separated from her group, and she flew a little further. She reached a tree which was on a freeway. She saw cartloads of food grains passing on the road. One of the bags of the grain was torn, and grains were scattered on the road. There was enough grains on the road for the entire group. She thought of flying back and telling the king about what she had found. But on a second thought, she decided not to tell the king. If I tell him, he will come here with all the birds. I want all this grain for myself, she thought. She had her fill of the grains and took some for the king. The king was pleased, as the grains were superb. He asked her where she got the grains. She told him the truth about the freeway. Hearing her, all the birds were happy. The king told them that next day they could all go to the freeway and collect grains. But the birds said, "It is very dangerous to collect food from there. The road is very busy. Carts and vehicles pass over at every moment. We may get crushed under the wheels of the cart. I risked my life to get these grains. It will be better that we don't go there." The king liked her sound advice and decided to look for food elsewhere. However, the little bird flew to the freeway every day and had her fill of grains. On her way back, she would collect some food for the king and come back to her nest. One day, in her eagerness to eat more grains, she got crushed under the wheels of a cart. Evening arrived and she did not return to her nest. All the birds got worried about her. They reported the matter to the king. The king told them to go and search for her. He also went out to look for her. Soon, he came upon the freeway and found her body lying in the middle of the road. He could understand the reason for her death. He understood her greedy and selfish nature. She had advised others not to go to the freeway so that she could eat all the grains herself. However, she became a victim of her greed and selfishness. One day, a big and beautiful deer was wandering in the jungle. He was looking for food. He wanted to eat something different than what he ate every day. While wandering, he came to the outskirt of the jungle. There, he saw a fruit-laden tree. He had never tasted such fruits before, so he cautiously ate one. The fruit was very sweet and luscious. The deer started coming to that fruit tree every day. He gave up eating all other plants that grew in the jungle. He would eat only the fruits of that particular tree. A hunter lived in the nearby village. He used to go to the forest every day and pass by that tree. One day, as he was returning from the jungle, he saw the footmarks of the deer. He was glad to see the footmarks and stood watching them. After some time, he saw the deer enjoying the tasty fruits of the tree. The hunter made up his mind to catch the deer. "He is so big and beautiful. He will fetch me a lot of money," he thought. The hunter came back to the tree next morning and hid himself among the branches of a nearby tree. He intended to kill the deer with his bow and arrow. After about an hour, the deer arrived. He was a very clever and cautious deer. He saw human footprints on the wet soil. Therefore, he did not go near the fruit tree. Instead, he stood watching for any sign of the human being. He spoke to the fruit tree. "My dear talking tree, why didn't you welcome me today? Why are you not dropping your fruits for me today? Are you angry with me? Have I offended you by my misconduct?" Hearing the deer speak, the hunter plucked some fruits from the fruit tree and threw them towards the deer. The deer was now sure that a hunter was lying in wait for him. He said to the tree, "It appears that you are not in a mood to talk with me today. Therefore, you have thrown the fruits without welcoming me. I can't accept the fruits as you are annoyed. I will come back only when you are in a pleasant mood." So saying, he hid himself behind the tall bush that grew nearby. The hunter was quite disappointed. He aimed an arrow at the deer. However, the arrow missed him. The deer ran swiftly and disappeared into the thick forest. He had outwitted the hunter.
Once upon a time, a little ant and a grasshopper lived together in a rocky green area. It was spring, and the grasshopper was having fun, playing and singing. But the ant was working hard. It was collecting food and storing it in its house. The grasshopper asked the ant to play with him, but the ant told him that she is collecting food to eat in the winter. The grasshopper laughed at the ant and told her to not worry about the future. The ant ignored him and continued working hard. Winter came and the grasshopper did not find any food to eat. It starved and became very weak. The grasshopper knew that he should have prepared himself for the winter when there was plenty of food in the spring, and realized its mistake. Once upon a time, there lived an elephant in a jungle. He was very arrogant and short-tempered. He was very proud of his strength and huge body. The other animals in the jungle feared him a lot. He enjoyed doing things that showed off his strength and always troubled other small animals in the jungle. In that jungle, there also lived a family of ants in a tiny hole. The ant used to despise the elephant for his haughty nature. One day, when the ants were away to collect food, the elephant stopped them and sprayed a trunk full of water on them. The ants got angry and said, "You should not trouble others for your pleasure." The elephant shouted angrily and said, "You tiny creatures, keep quiet, or I will crush you to death." Now, the ants decided to reach the arrogant animal a lesson for life. They slowly crept under his trunk and spread to his ears and started biting him. The elephant became restless and started crying for help. None of the animals came forward to rescue him. They were happy to see him getting punished for his acts. He kept apologizing to the ants, but they continued to bite him. When they were sure that he has learned his lesson, they let him go and said, "This is how others feel when you hurt them." The ants marched off, leaving a wailing elephant there. Then on, the elephant never troubled anyone in the jungle. Morale of the story: pride and arrogance never go unpunished. Once upon a time, there lived two cats. They were good friends. One day, they found a loaf of bread in the street. They picked it and decided to break it into 2 equal parts. The other cat instantly agreed to the arrangement. When it came to deciding who would be the one to divide the loaf of bread, they could not come to a conclusion. While the cats were arguing, a monkey happened to be passing by. This monkey was hungry too. When he saw the two cats quarreling, he decided to help them. So, he divided the loaf of bread into 2 parts. But one of the pieces was larger than the other. Before the cats could say anything, the monkey decided to take a bite. But he purposefully took a large bite, and again the monkey slyly told them that he would make the other piece equal to the smaller one by taking a bite out of it. In that manner, the monkey finished, eating the entire loaf of bread all by himself. The cats then realized if only they hadn't been fighting among themselves, they would have had the loaf of bread.
Once upon a time, there lived a mouse. Mouse was having a very thought time. She had no food for many days and made strenuous efforts get her food. All her efforts went in vain. She looked everywhere to find her food. As the days passed by, she became very thin. One day, the moosie found a basket with corns. She also noticed a tiny hole in the basket, which was sufficient enough to move her in. She easily moved inside the hole. Since she had no foods for many days, she ate a large amount of corn. Without realizing she continuously ate more and more corns. She realized very later that she ate a lot more than she actually required. After eating a whole lot of corn, she became very fat. Satisfied with corns, the fat mouse tried to come out of the basket through the small hole. Unfortunately, the tiny hole could not accommodate the big mouse. The mouse started screaming, "Oh God, let me come out. How can I come out?" A rat, after hearing Mouse's screaming voice from the basket, asked her what happened. Mouse told the story and asked Rat a solution. Rat told, "If you want to come out the basket, wait for some time or even days to lose all your fat until you grow thin." Mouse started to starve now, but with lots of food to come out of the trap. Moral lesson: anything too much is good for nothing.
Once very long ago, the birds of a forest were ruled by the hornbill. He had proclaimed himself the king without anybody's consent. He was a cruel and unfair ruler. He was short-tempered and got angry very soon without any provocation. Innocent birds would get scolding from him without any faults. The birds did not like him and wanted to choose a new king. One day, they called a secret meeting of all the birds. The hornbill knew nothing of the meeting. The birds had chosen a tree quite far from the forest so that the hornbill would not get even a scent of the meeting. The agenda of the meeting was to choose a new ruler for them. All the birds were present at the meeting. There were parrots, bulbuls, woodpeckers, owls, crows, cranes, swans, etc. The birds discussed their problems. None of the birds wanted the hornbill to remain their king. They were all fed up of his cruel ways. Many names were suggested for the new king, and at last the bulbul was chosen to be their king. All the birds agreed to make the bulbul their king, as she was kind and gentle. She humbly accepted the offer. However, there was one problem before them: how to tell the hornbill that he was being dethroned. Whoever went to him with the news would be killed. An old owl was also present at the meeting. He said, "Don't worry about this problem. I have made a plan. To carry out my plan, I will need the help of our friend, the woodpecker. If you all trust me, let me try out." All the birds accepted his offer. The woodpecker agreed to help him. He took the woodpecker to a tree. He told him to peck at the strongest branch of the tree. Remain hidden and cut the branch. Stop pecking at it just when one blow is needed for the branch to fall. Thus instructing the woodpecker, he flew to the hornbill. The hornbill was just wondering where all the birds had gone. Seeing the owl, he said, "Where have all the birds gone today? There is nobody to attend upon me." The owl said, "Your Highness, all the birds want that you should prove your capabilities. We have decided to hold a branch-breaking competition. If you succeed in breaking the branch, we will know your strength and power. However, if you do not succeed, and some other bird succeeds, he or she will be chosen our king." The hornbill was proud of his potentials. He said, "I am strong enough to break a branch. Take me to the venue of the competition, and I shall break the strongest of the branch." The owl guided him to the tree where he had hidden the woodpecker. All the birds of the forest were also present there. The owl selected a strong branch of the tree and said to the hornbill, "Your Highness, this is the branch you have to break." The hornbill was sure of his success. He at once started pecking at the branch. He tried for a long time, but could not break even a portion of the branch. Soon he grew tired. The owl said, "Your Highness, the stipulated time is over. You could not break the branch. The next participant is the bulbul. If she succeeds in breaking the branch, she becomes our king." The hornbill thought, "When I could not break the branch, how can such a delicate-looking bird break it?" So he agreed to the condition. The owl led the bulbul to the branch that had already been cut by the woodpecker. Only a last blow was needed to break it. The bulbul had to peck at it only twice, and the branch broke and fell to the ground. Everybody cried out with happiness and cheered the bulbul and proclaimed her their king. The hornbill was so ashamed of himself that he flew away from that forest and never showed his face again. The gentle and kind bulbul thanked all the birds for making her their king. She specially thanked the owl and the woodpecker. She justly ruled over the birds. The birds were happy to have such a kind and gentle king. Once in a jungle, there lived a lion. Lion was very proud and very vain. He called himself the king of all the animals, and he loved to stomp around the savannah, roaring and growling whenever he saw giraffe or hyena or elephant or gazelle or ape, to show them that he was the most important animal in the jungle. "I am your king," he roared, and all the other animals bowed to him. One day, Lion looked into the water of the lake and saw his reflection. "What a beautiful and noble creature I am," he thought. Lion posed in front of the glassy lake for hours, admiring himself, but he wanted to do more to prove to the other animals that he was their king. Put on his fancy robes, his jeweled crown, and all his gold and silver medals. His clothes were very heavy, but they made him look mighty and grand. "I am your king," he roared in delight. "I am your king." Lion sent out a message to all his animal subjects, to giraffe and hyena and elephant and gazelle and ape. He sent messages to all the animals living on the savannah or in the jungle, inviting them to a meeting in front of his palace, where they could admire him in all his finery. So the giraffe and the hyena and the elephant and the gazelle and the ape came to see Lion. And many more animals came as well, from the zebra in his black and white coat to the tiny beetle, who was so little that he had to walk on the side of the road so that the bigger animals would not step on him by mistake. "I am small, I am little, people look down and can't see me," sang the beetle, as he scurried through the tall grass beside the road. "I am small, I am little, but inside I'm tall as a tree." When the animals were assembled, there came a mighty trumpet blast from Elephant, and Lion came forth in all his splendor, and all the animals bowed before him. "I am your king," he roared. "I am your king." Then Lion saw the tiny beetle, standing alone by the side of the road. The beetle was singing to himself as he watched the lion. "I am small, I am little, people look down and can't see me," sang the beetle, as Lion strutted before his subjects. "I am small, I am little, but inside I'm tall as a tree." Lion said to the beetle, "You, beetle, bow before me." Beetle said, "Your royal majesty, I know that I am small, but if you look at me closely, you will see that I am making a bow." Lion leaned over, peering down at the tiny beetle. His splendid robes, his jeweled crown, and his many medals made him so top-heavy that Lion wobbled as he loomed over the tiny beetle. Then Lion lost his balance and he fell over. His royal crown went flying off, and Lion rolled into a ditch filled with muddy water. All the animals laughed and laughed when they saw the muddy lion sprawled in the ditch. The bedraggled lion scurried away too. He was not so very mighty after all.
Upon a time, there lived a horse in a big jungle. He was very proud of himself. He saw a snail. Seeing how slowly the snail moved, the horse started teasing him. "Hey, snail, shall we have a race?" the horse asked. The snail was very angry with the horse. "Okay, let's do it. We will race on Sunday," said the snail. The snail went home and called all the snails to discuss about this issue. He told everyone about the race. They made a plan to outsmart the horse. Since all the snails looked alike, they decided to confuse the horse with their intelligence. When Sunday came, they left home very early. They started hiding in places in little distance from each other, all the way from the starting point to the finishing line. The race started. The horse ran a little and then looked down. He saw the snail ahead of him. The horse increased his pace, but the snail was still ahead. The horse started running harder and faster. However hard the horse tried, the snail was still ahead of him. The poor horse finally gave up after trying really hard. "Okay, I lose," said the humble horse. The snail laughed out loudly. Once upon a time, there lived an old lion. One day, an old lion realized that he was too old to hunt for food. The lion was sure he would soon die. He was very sad and went home. As he walked slowly home, the lion told a bird about his sad situation. Soon, everyone in the forest heard about the lion's situation. The other animals all felt sorry for the lion. So one by one they came to visit the lion. The lion was old, weak, but very wise. As each animal came into his home, they were easy to catch and eat. Soon the old lion became happy and fat. One day, early in the morning, the fox came. The fox was very wise too. He slowly came close to the lion's home. Standing outside, he asked if the lion was feeling better. "Hello, my best friend," said the lion. "Is it you? I can see you very well. You are so far away. Come closer, please, and tell me some kind words, because I am old and will die soon." While the lion was talking, the fox was looking closely at the ground in front of the lion's house. Finally, the fox looked up and said to the lion, "I am sorry, but I must go. I am very nervous because I see the footsteps of many animals going into your home, but I see none coming out again." Moral of the story: he is wise who is warned by the mistakes of other. Long ago, there was a donkey who stayed near the village. Everybody used to think that he was weak and useless. Once, he was roaming all around the forest. Suddenly, he found a lion's hide. Just then, he had an amazing idea. He thought to fool the other animals and people by wearing the lion's hide. So, he took the lion's skin and covered himself with it. He started to walk around in the forest, wearing the lion's hide so that he could look like an actual lion. All the animals who saw him got scared and started running away from him. This assured him that his plan was working. Then he paid a visit to the village where he lived. All the villagers were scared of him. The donkey was enjoying all this, and he roamed around freely without any fear. He was very happy because now he didn't need to be scared of anybody. However, one day, as the wind blew strongly, the lion's hide that he was wearing flew off. The donkey's biggest secret was out. "This is a donkey, and we thought it was a lion," said the angry villagers. They chased the donkey out of their village, but he surely had last laugh.
Sing was a mighty lion who ruled over a thick, deep forest. He was very strong and big. The animals of the forest respected him. One day, a jackal came up to him and said, "Your Majesty, you are such a mighty ruler, but you have no attendants to wait upon you. I have come to you to offer my services to you. I hope you will accept my offer and make me your humble servant." Sing agreed to take him into his services. He said, "All right, if you really desire to serve me, you may live with me in my cave. Your duty will be to look for an animal that I can hunt. If you see any animal, you should inform me and say, 'O mighty one, come and shine forth in all your might.' I will there hunt the animal and eat its flesh. The leftover will be yours." The jackal accepted the offer and promised to perform his duties well. From that day onwards, he started living in the lion's cave. Every day, he would go out of the cave and look for some animals. If he sighted any animal, he would come running to the lion and say, "O mighty one, come and shine forth in all your might." The lion would then kill the animal and eat a major portion of its flesh. The jackal would eat the leftover. He was happy with what he got. He got his food without having to hunt for it. Months passed, and the jackal grew very fat and strong. He started comparing his strength with that of the lion. "Even I can kill animals. Then I will be able to eat the whole of my kill myself. Moreover, I can lead an independent life. I am really fed up of leading the life of a servant." The jackal then went to the lion, and one said, "Your Majesty, I have sincerely served you all these months. You also took care to provide me well. Under your care, I have grown quite fat and strong. Now, I feel that I can lead an independent life and hunt my own food. Therefore, I have come here to seek your permission to leave your cave and lead an independent life." The lion knew that the jackal had become proud of his strength. He realized that he was being foolish, but he also knew that the jackal would in no case listen to him. Therefore he said, "Well, my dear jackal, you have been a sincere servant. I have always tried to feed you well. So why do you want to go elsewhere when you can easily get food from me?" The jackal was, however, bent on going away. He said, "Your Majesty, I want to test my strength. I want to see if I will be able to live on my own or not." Seeing his firm decision, the lion said, "Well then, I have an idea. Let us change our position. You can just sit and relax, whereas I will go out looking for an animal. I will inform you if I see any animal. You can then kill the animal and eat your share. I will eat the leftover." The jackal thought it to be a very good plan. Next day, the lion went out of the cave and saw an elephant. He came to the jackal and informed him about the elephant. He said, "Sir, an elephant is sighted today. Please shine forth in all your might." The jackal went out and prepared to kill the elephant. He proudly walked and climbed up a rock. From that height, he jumped onto the elephant. But instead of falling on the elephant's back, he fell onto the ground. The elephant was quite shocked. He stepped over the jackal and killed him. Poor jackal! He lost his life due to his own folly. Once upon a time in a jungle lived a lion. Now, this lion was the king of the jungle. He had 3 assistants: the crow, the jackal, and the leopard. The lion and his assistants went everywhere together and hunted together. One day, as the 4 of them were looking for a prey, the lion sees a strange animal in the jungle. "Who is that?" the lion asks. So the crow decides to fly above and ask other animals about the strange animal. Soon enough, the crow returns with new information. The crow then informs the others that the strange animal is a camel. Those animals are found in deserts. And the camel in their jungle had been separated from his caravan and was now lost. I also heard that the flesh of the camel is extremely delicious. But the lion tells the others that the camel is not from their jungle, which makes the camel their guest. So they all agree not to kill the camel. They welcome the camel to their jungle and treat him as a guest. The camel was happy to be with them. Then one day, while the lion fighting with an elephant, he becomes injured. As a result, the lion could not go on hunts. Because of this, the 3 assistants could not eat either. Then one day, they again suggest to eat up the camel, but the lion does not agree. "He does not belong to our forest. I told him that I will protect him. I cannot do this." Then the shrewd animals suggest that if they persuade the camel to offer himself as a meal, then would the lion eat him? The lion agreed. So the animals that evening began to offer themselves to lion one by one. The lion refused to eat any of them. Seeing this, the camel too offered himself. He thought the lion would refuse him too, but that wasn't the case. The moment the camel offered himself, the lion at once killed it. All 4 of them enjoyed the camel's meat for days. Moral of the story: beware when in wicked company.
Once upon a time, there was an old owl who lived in an oak tree. Every day he observed incidents that occurred around him. Yesterday, he watched as a young boy helped an old man carry a heavy basket. Today, he saw a young girl shouting at her mother. The more he saw, the less he spoke. As the days went on, he spoke less, but heard more. The old owl heard people talking and telling stories. He heard a woman saying an elephant jumped over a fence. He heard a man saying that he had never made a mistake. The old owl had seen and heard what happened to people. There were some who became better, some who became worse. But the old owl in the tree had become wiser each and every day. Moral of the story: be more observant. Talk less and listen more. This will make us wise.
Once there lived a camel and a jackal. They were good friends. They lived near a river. One day the jackal came to know that there was a field of ripe melons across the river. His mouth watered, but he could not cross the river. He went to Camel and told him about the melons. The camel was also tempted to eat melons. He carried the jackal on his back and crossed the river. Both of them reached the field. They started eating the melons. The jackal started howling loudly. The owner of the field came running and started beating the camel. When the owner went away, the camel asked the jackal why he had howled. The jackal replied, "It is my habit to howl after a heavy meal." Both of them returned to the river. The jackal jumped on the back of the camel. When they were in the middle of the water, the camel began to roll in the water. The jackal said, "Why are you rolling in the water?" The camel replied, "It is my habit to roll in the water after a heavy meal." The jackal could hardly save himself. One day, two cranes stood by a lake. The lake was full of big fish. It was the breeding season, and a large number of fish had arrived to that part of the lake. The two cranes had seen a very big fish, and they wanted to catch it. For a long time, they watched its movements. Then, one of the cranes caught it by its head. But the fish was very heavy, and she could not pull it out of the water. She needed help. The other crane helped her. She caught hold of the fish by its tail, and both of them pulled it out. They decided to divide the fish among themselves. They were about to cut the fish when the first crane said, "I had caught the fish, therefore I should get a larger part of it." The other crane said, "No, I should get a larger part because I helped you to pull it out." Soon both of them started quarreling. A jackal had been watching all this. Actually, he had also come to the lakeside to catch a fish. His wife had expressed a desire to eat fish. The jackal had been sitting on the bank of the lake and thinking of a plan to catch a fish. When he saw the cranes quarreling among themselves over a fish, he thought, "The foolish cranes are quarreling over their catch. If I go and net as their judge, I will be able to get hold of the big fish. My wife will be happy to see such a big fish." So he walked up to the cranes and said, "Dear cranes, I have been watching you quarrel over a fish. Can I help you in any way?" The cranes said, "Please help us decide who should get the larger share." Then they explained to him how they had caught the fish together. The jackal pretended to be deep in thought. Then he said to the first crane, "You caught the fish by the head, so you should get the head." He cut away the head of the fish and gave it to the first crane. Then he turned to the second crane and said, "You caught the fish by its tail, therefore you should get the tail." He cut the tail of the fish and gave it to her. The two cranes, though, that the jackal would equally divide the body of the fish between them. "However," he said, "now I have acted as your judge. I want my fee. I am taking the body of the fee." So saying, he picked up the fish as my fish and ran away. He reached home and gave the fish to his wife. His wife prepared a tasty fish curry, and both of them enjoyed the curry together.
Once upon a time, a mouse and a frog were close friends. The frog often visited the mouse at his home, and they both shared the food and provisions the mouse had stocked in abundance. One day, the frog invited the mouse to his house. The poor mouse didn't know how to swim. The frog told him that he would make the mouse sit on his back. The mouse immediately agreed. Halfway across the stream, the frog started to get wicked thoughts of eating the mouse. So, the wicked frog dived for the bottom of the stream. The mouse, realizing too late the betrayal of the frog, started to cry for help. A hawk flying above the stream saw the scene and swooped down upon the mouse. The hawk picked him up with its beak and started to fly high into the sky. The frog tied to the mouse was also taken away. The frog realized his mistake. In his greed to get more food, he had not only his good friend, but also put his own life into danger.
In a deep, dense jungle, there lived a lion. He was known for his great power. Undoubtedly, he was strong and had mighty claws and teeth, but he had one big problem. He was terrified by the cocking of the rooster. "Can life be worth living if the creature as mighty as me get afraid of such a small creature like a rooster?" the lion cried bitterly. Just as he was in his sad stage, he spied an elephant. The elephant was huge and scary, and he was flapping his large ears quickly to and fro in the great concern. "What troubles you, my friend? Can anything have the power to harm a beast of your size, bulk, and strength?" "Oh yes, you will be shocked. Do you see that black, buzzing gnat? If he wishes to sting inside my ear, I will go mad in pain." The lion, after hearing the elephant, took a promise from himself. He decided not to let troubles come in his way. Also, the lion understood that even the strongest creatures have some weak points. He built up his self-confidence once again. After all, he had much to think of. He was the king of all the beasts. Moral of the story: at some point of time, everyone has his weak points. One should overcome his weakness and look forward to the best things in his life.
Upon a time, an old woman lived in a little hut in a village. She had a little red hen. The woman loved her hen very much. Every day, she would feed the hen with mixed corn and let her out in the courtyard. The hen would walk around, pecking at bugs and insects. Then she would lay an egg in the straw nest under the mango tree. She laid an egg every day. The old woman would sell the egg at the local market for a good price. One evening, the old woman thought, "If I feed the hen twice as much, she will lay 2 eggs every day. Then I will become rich." She feed the hen more and more corn every day. But the red hen only grew big and fat until one day she stopped laying eggs altogether. The old woman repented her miscalculations. Moral of the story: things don't always go as planned.
Once upon a time, there was a fly who liked to work and help others. On a festival day, a fly was flustering the floor with gum. While working, it forgot its name. "What is my name?" it wondered. It flew long and long without stopping, asking everyone around. Soon, he saw an old lady sitting under the tree. It stopped there and asked the old lady, "Do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask my son," replied the old lady. So the fly flew to an old lady's son. "Do you know my name?" asked the fly. "I don't know your name. Ask the axe in my hand," he said. So the fly flew to the axe and asked, "Oh, axe of an old lady's son, do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask the tree which I just cut down," said the tree. The fly flew to the tree. "Do you know my name?" asked the fly. "I don't know your name. Ask the birds sitting on my branches," replied the tree. The fly then flew to the birds who were sitting on the branches of the tree. The fly asked, "Do you know my name?" "We don't know your name. Ask the lake where we drink water," said the birds. The fly then flew to the lake and asked, "Oh, lake water, do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask the fish that swim in me," the lake said. "Oh, fish swimming in the water, do you know my name?" asked the fly. "I don't know your name. Ask the little boy who tries to catch me," said the fish. He went to the boy and asked, "Oh, little boy who tries to catch fish, do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask the horse that I ride," answered the boy. "Oh, dear horse, do you know my name?" asked the fly, who became tired. The horse replied, "No, I don't remember your name. Ask the baby horse that is inside my stomach." "Oh, baby horse, do you know my name?" asked the fly, who was feeling exhausted. The baby replied, "Your name is F, 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 F," replied the baby horse, and it got fumbled. On hearing him, the fly explains, "Oh, you said it right. My name is Fly." And the fly happily flew back home.
Once upon a time, a bear went out into the forest to find some honey. He had seen some bees flying around a tree and thought that there might be some honey in there. Sure enough, when he got to the tree, there was a hive full of honey. The bear was so excited that he ate as much honey as he could. After he was done, he went back to his cave and slept for the rest of the day. The next day, the bear went back to the same tree to get more honey. But when he got there, the hive was gone. All that was left was a sticky mess on the ground. The bear was so sad that he didn't get any more honey that day. But the next day, the bear found another hive. And this time, he was prepared. He brought a pot with him and was able to get some honey without making such a mess. The bear was so happy that he had found more honey and was able to enjoy it for days to come. Once upon a time, there was a rabbit. It was roaming here and there. Suddenly, it found a big, round, and colorful ball. The rabbit picked it up and looked at it carefully. It was a very hard tool. "Whose egg is this?" the rabbit wondered. The rabbit called his dear friend Tortoise. "Is this a tiger's egg?" he asked. The tortoise said, "No, the tiger egg is not so big. This is not the tortoise egg." The rabbit called his friend Monkey and asked, "Is this a camel's egg?" The monkey said, "No, it is not camel's egg, as the egg of the camel is not colorful." By now, the rabbit was confused as to whose egg could it be. He decided to call another friend of his, the stork. "Is this an elephant's egg?" the rabbit asked him. The stork placed the ball near him and poked it with its beak. The ball burst with a fizz sound, and the air started coming out of it. The stork finally concluded that it was a wind's egg. "Yes, it's a wind's egg," agreed the rabbit, the tortoise, and the monkey. They all laughed out with joy and jumped happily.
Long ago in a forest, there lived a lion. He was the king of the jungle. Now, his prime minister, the jackal, was getting old, and the time had come for him to choose a new prime minister. The next day, the lion set out for the test. Once he had found an axe of the woodcutter in the jungle. He placed the axe in the center of the path and hid into the bushes. The lion was quietly waiting for the other animals to pass by that way. Soon, a monkey passed by, and he was very excited to see such a shiny thing. He thought that it was some kind of new toy. He grabbed it and threw the axe in the air like a ball. In no time, he cut his tail with the axe. The monkey cried out in pain and ran back to the mango tree. The lion was very disappointed with the monkey. Next, a fox happened to pass by. As you know, Fox is an intelligent yet cunning animal. She wanted to use it for her own benefit. "Ah, what luck! If I take this, I will be all-powerful. I will take this axe and kill all the farmers in the village. Then all their chickens will be fine," thought the fox to herself. The lion heard her evil plan and pounced on her. The scared fox ran away at once. Then an ox was walking through the path. The ox smelled the dangerous-looking thing, and he immediately got an idea. He quickly took the axe in his mouth and cut down all the branches which were blocking the road, as it was difficult for the anyams to pass by that route. The lion was observing everything, and he was amazed at the ox's work. He realized that the monkey did not know how to use an axe. The fox wanted to use it for evil means. Only the ox used it for the benefit of everyone. He then thanked the ox for clearing the road and offered him to become his prime minister. The ox accepted the offer happily. Moral of the story: a leader must use his power to help everyone. Or, you should know how to use things before using them. It might have bad consequences. Long ago in a forest, once upon a time, in a forest lived a bear. This bear was a greedy one. Wherever he went, he wanted the biggest thing. One day, when the bear woke up in the afternoon, his stomach groaned loudly. "Oh dear, I am extremely hungry." So he decided to go out in search of food. That day, the sun was shining brightly, and everything looked beautiful. "Oh, such a pretty day today is," exclaimed the bear. "Then I shall have fish to enjoy this day," the bear thought cheerfully. So he hurried to the riverbed. Upon looking into the river, the bear became happy. "There are so many fishes. I shall eat a lot too today." The bear prepared to hunt. Looking at the fish intently, he waited for his chance. Upon finding the most opportune moment, the bear struck in one swift motion. "I caught it!" he roared. But when he looked at it, he wasn't that happy. "What? This fish is too small. It won't fill my stomach. I will wait for a bigger fish." So the bear threw the small fish back into the water. The bear again began hunting again. He waited for his chance. After waiting for a while, he found his chance and he swung his large arm. He caught another fish. "Oh no!" he cried. "Even this is too small for my stomach. I will wait for the bigger fish." So the bear repeated the same act again and again. Time and time again, the bear caught the small fish, and time again, the bear the fish go, always saying the same thing. "I want to eat a bigger fish. This small fish won't fill my huge stomach." In the end, the bear had nothing to eat because he had thrown every fish back into the river. Moral of the story. Many small things make up for one big thing. Never let go of what you have in hand for what you don't have yet.
Once upon a time, there was a fly who liked to work and help others. On a festival day, a fly was flustering the floor with gum. While working, it forgot its name. "What is my name?" it wondered. It flew long and long without stopping, asking everyone around. Soon, he saw an old lady sitting under the tree. It stopped there and asked the old lady, "Do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask my son," replied the old lady. So the fly flew to an old lady's son. "Do you know my name?" asked the fly. "I don't know your name. Ask the axe in my hand," he said. So the fly flew to the axe and asked, "Oh, axe of an old lady's son, do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask the tree which I just cut down," said the tree. The fly flew to the tree. "Do you know my name?" asked the fly. "I don't know your name. Ask the birds sitting on my branches," replied the tree. The fly then flew to the birds who were sitting on the branches of the tree. The fly asked, "Do you know my name?" "We don't know your name. Ask the lake where we drink water," said the birds. The fly then flew to the lake and asked, "Oh, lake water, do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask the fish that swim in me," the lake said. "Oh, fish swimming in the water, do you know my name?" asked the fly. "I don't know your name. Ask the little boy who tries to catch me," said the fish. He went to the boy and asked, "Oh, little boy who tries to catch fish, do you know my name?" "I don't know your name. Ask the horse that I ride," answered the boy. "Oh, dear horse, do you know my name?" asked the fly, who became tired. The horse replied, "No, I don't remember your name. Ask the baby horse that is inside my stomach." "Oh, baby horse, do you know my name?" asked the fly, who was feeling exhausted. The baby replied, "Your name is F, 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 F," replied the baby horse, and it got fumbled. On hearing him, the fly explains, "Oh, you said it right. My name is Fly." And the fly happily flew back home.
Once upon a time, a bear went out into the forest to find some honey. He had seen some bees flying around a tree and thought that there might be some honey in there. Sure enough, when he got to the tree, there was a hive full of honey. The bear was so excited that he ate as much honey as he could. After he was done, he went back to his cave and slept for the rest of the day. The next day, the bear went back to the same tree to get more honey. But when he got there, the hive was gone. All that was left was a sticky mess on the ground. The bear was so sad that he didn't get any more honey that day. But the next day, the bear found another hive. And this time, he was prepared. He brought a pot with him and was able to get some honey without making such a mess. The bear was so happy that he had found more honey and was able to enjoy it for days to come. Once upon a time, there was a rabbit. It was roaming here and there. Suddenly, it found a big, round, and colorful ball. The rabbit picked it up and looked at it carefully. It was a very hard tool. "Whose egg is this?" the rabbit wondered. The rabbit called his dear friend Tortoise. "Is this a tiger's egg?" he asked. The tortoise said, "No, the tiger egg is not so big. This is not the tortoise egg." The rabbit called his friend Monkey and asked, "Is this a camel's egg?" The monkey said, "No, it is not camel's egg, as the egg of the camel is not colorful." By now, the rabbit was confused as to whose egg could it be. He decided to call another friend of his, the stork. "Is this an elephant's egg?" the rabbit asked him. The stork placed the ball near him and poked it with its beak. The ball burst with a fizz sound, and the air started coming out of it. The stork finally concluded that it was a wind's egg. "Yes, it's a wind's egg," agreed the rabbit, the tortoise, and the monkey. They all laughed out with joy and jumped happily.
Long ago in a forest, there lived a lion. He was the king of the jungle. Now, his prime minister, the jackal, was getting old, and the time had come for him to choose a new prime minister. The next day, the lion set out for the test. Once he had found an axe of the woodcutter in the jungle. He placed the axe in the center of the path and hid into the bushes. The lion was quietly waiting for the other animals to pass by that way. Soon, a monkey passed by, and he was very excited to see such a shiny thing. He thought that it was some kind of new toy. He grabbed it and threw the axe in the air like a ball. In no time, he cut his tail with the axe. The monkey cried out in pain and ran back to the mango tree. The lion was very disappointed with the monkey. Next, a fox happened to pass by. As you know, Fox is an intelligent yet cunning animal. She wanted to use it for her own benefit. Ah, what luck! If I take this, I will be all-powerful. I will take this axe and kill all the farmers in the village. Then all their chickens will be fine, thought the fox to herself. The lion heard her evil plan and pounced on her. The scared fox ran away at once. Then an ox was walking through the path. The ox smelled the dangerous-looking thing, and he immediately got an idea. He quickly took the axe in his mouth and cut down all the branches which were blocking the road, as it was difficult for the aniams to pass by that route. The lion was observing everything, and he was amazed at the ox's work. He realized that the monkey did not know how to use an axe. The fox wanted to use it for evil means. Only the ox used it for the benefit of everyone. He then thanked the ox for clearing the road and offered him to become his prime minister. The ox accepted the offer happily. Moral of the story: a leader must use his power to help everyone. Or, you should know how to use things before using them. It might have bad consequences. Long ago in a forest, once upon a time, in a forest lived a bear. This bear was a greedy one. Wherever he went, he wanted the biggest thing. One day, when the bear woke up in the afternoon, his stomach groaned loudly. "Oh dear, I am extremely hungry." So he decided to go out in search of food. That day, the sun was shining brightly, and everything looked beautiful. "Oh, such a pretty day today is," exclaimed the bear. "Then I shall have fish to enjoy this day," the bear thought cheerfully. So he hurried to the riverbed. Upon looking into the river, the bear became happy. "There are so many fishes. I shall eat a lot too today." The bear prepared to hunt. Looking at the fish intently, he waited for his chance. Upon finding the most opportune moment, the bear struck in one swift motion. "I caught it!" he roared. But when he looked at it, he wasn't that happy. "What? This fish is too small. It won't fill my stomach. I will wait for a bigger fish." So the bear threw the small fish back into the water. The bear again began hunting again. He waited for his chance. After waiting for a while, he found his chance and he swung his large arm. He caught another fish. "Oh no!" he cried. "Even this is too small for my stomach. I will wait for the bigger fish." So the bear repeated the same act again and again. Time and time again, the bear caught the small fish, and time again, the bear the fish go, always saying the same thing. "I want to eat a bigger fish. This small fish won't fill my huge stomach." In the end, the bear had nothing to eat because he had thrown every fish back into the river. Moral of the story: many small things make up for one big thing. Never let go of what you have in hand for what you don't have yet. There was a great friendship between a deer, a tortoise, and a woodpecker. They were always seen together. They spent most of their time chatting or playing by a lakeside. One day, a hunter came to the forest and laid a trap behind the bush near the lake. The deer happened to be returning from the lake. He stepped on the trap and was caught in the trap. He cried out with pain. He called his friends and cried, "I have been trapped. Please come and help me." The woodpecker was at the time sitting on a tree. He heard the deer's cries. He flew to him. The tortoise also came running at full speed. They were horrified to see their friend in the trap. They thought of a plan. The woodpecker flew and called Mouse that lived in a nearby hole. The mouse and the tortoise started cutting the trap. In the meantime, the woodpecker flew to the hunter's camp. The hunter was just coming out of the tent. He had heard the cries of the deer and was anxious to catch him. The woodpecker acted quickly and sat on his head. He pecked twice on his head. The hunter cried out with pain and went back to his tent to take rest. He saw the woodpecker sitting on the tent. He decided to go out from the back door of the tent. However, the woodpecker had anticipated this. He too went to the back door of the tent, and as soon the hunter came out, he pecked on his head again. The hunter felt giddy and sat down on a stone to take rest. The woodpecker's purpose was solved. He flew back to the deer. By then, the mouse and the tortoise had cut open the trap and the deer was free. He thanked his friends and the mouse for their timely help. Just then, the deer saw the hunter approaching. He warned his friends. The mouse, the deer, and the woodpecker escaped. But the tortoise was caught. He put him into his bag and tied it with a strong string. The woodpecker had seen all this. He called out to the deer and informed him that the hunter had caught the tortoise. It was now Deer's turn to help his friend. He thought, if I go and lie down in the hunter's path, the hunter would keep his bag containing the tortoise on the ground and try to catch me. When he will be nearing me, I shall run very fast. The hunter will follow me. I shall take him to the thickest part of the forest, from where it will be very difficult for him to find his way back. In the meantime, the woodpecker will cut open the bag and release the tortoise. He told his plan to the woodpecker. The woodpecker approved of the plan and advised the deer to be very careful. Be alert of the plan and advise the deer to be very careful. Be alert of the hunter's footsteps and run as fast as you can. The woodpecker advised him. The deer told the woodpecker not to worry about him and took a short cut to reach the hunter's path. He lay down on the path, pretending to be dead. Soon the hunter came along the path and was very happy to see a dead deer in front of him. As expected, he kept his bag at a side and ran to pick up the deer. The deer had been very alert. As soon as he heard his footsteps, he stood up and ran swiftly. For a second, the hunter remained rooted to the ground. He had been twice deceived by the deer. He was now bent upon catching the deer. He forgot his bag and the tortoise and ran behind the deer. In the meanwhile, the woodpecker had already reached the hunter's bag. He was opening it. Soon, he was successful in opening the bag. The tortoise thanked him for his help. The woodpecker was worried about the deer. So, he advised the tortoise to go and hide in the lake, while he himself flew in the direction in which the deer and the hunter had run. Soon, he could see the deer being followed by the hunter. He also flew over without losing the sight of the deer. The deer had now reached a thick part of the forest. His intention was to lead the hunter into the deepest part of the forest and leave him there. He would never be able to find his way back to the lake. He ran fast with the hunter following him. When he entered the thickest part of the forest, he hid behind a bush. The hunter went ahead. The deer then ran in the reverse direction. The woodpecker flew down to him and congratulated him on his success. The two friends then returned to the lake. The tortoise had been waiting for them. He had prepared meal for them. The three friends sat down to eat their meal. It had been a tiring but adventurous day for them. They had thoroughly enjoyed their adventure. Sam the shark lived in the ocean and loved to swim and play with all the other sea creatures. But one day, Sam got a big idea. He wanted to try something new, something no other shark had ever done before. So, he decided to become a vegetarian. All of his shark friends laughed at him and told him that sharks only ate meat, but Sam was determined to prove them wrong. So he started swimming around the ocean, trying all sorts of plants and vegetables. To his surprise, he found that he actually loved eating seaweed and kelp. One day, while he was munching on a big bunch of kelp, a school of small fish swam by. They were scared and started to swim away as fast as they could. But Sam just waved and said, "Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. I'm a vegetarian now." The fish were very surprised and slowly swam back to him. They were so curious about this new shark who ate plants instead of fish. From that day on, Sam became friends with all the sea creatures, big and small. He even started a veggie club where all the sea creatures could come together and try different types of seaweed and kelp. And all the other sharks soon realized that they could be happy and healthy eating plants too. Today is a very important day for the birds. It is the day for selecting the king of birds. a King of the Birds competition is being held. Zaru, the pig, is the host for the King of the Birds competition. The audience are full of excitement. Zaru, the pig, introduces all the candidates in the competition. The first candidate is the swan. She pledges to become an honest and truthful queen. The second contestant is an eagle. He pledges to strengthen the kingdom. The last one was the peacock. She pledges to make the most beautiful kingdom. The King of the Birds competition was reaching its peak. Most birds joined in for fun, except the crow. He was unhappy. He also wanted to become the king. But the crow could not think of anything that he was proud of. Crow saw different types of feathers. Swan's white feather, eagle's large feather, and peacock's beautiful feather were all dropped in the ground. The crow came across an idea. He started to attach those feathers on his body and entered in the King of the Birds competition. Zaru, the pig, announced the fourth contestant, the crow. He said, "I possess all the advantages of the swan, the eagle, and the peacock. I have the swan's white face, the eagle's grand and huge wings, and the peacock's beautiful, gorgeous feathers." Suddenly, the peacock noticed that the crow has attached his feathers, eagle's feathers, and swan's feathers. All of them ran up to the crow and pulled out the fake feathers. All naked, the true identity of the crow was revealed. Shocked audience shouted at the crow for his deception. Moral of the story: we should never copy others. We should always be ourselves.
There once was a farm with a big red barn, and in that big red barn there lived many animals, the smallest of which was a little red hen. The little red hen may have been little, but she was the most active resident of the farm. When she wasn't laying eggs, she spent her time clucking and walking about the barn, pecking at the seeds on the ground, or gathering up twigs and hay to make her nest. She kept everything in the barn tidy and clean. One day, while she was pecking at the ground, she discovered some leftover wheat grains that the farmer had left behind. She knew that the wheat could be planted and then made into delicious fresh bread. So she went to the pigsty, where the pig was eating from a bucket of slop. Excuse me. Cluck, cluck. I need someone to help me plant this wheat," said the little red hen. "Oink, oink. Not I," said the pig, as he went back to his slop. So the little red hen went outside and found the cat, lying in the sun and playing with a ball of yarn. Cluck, cluck. Will you help me plant this wheat?" said the little red hen. "Meow," said the cat. "Not I. Can't you see that I'm busy?" Meow. The little red hen was frustrated, but she did not give up. She walked all the way out to the pond, where the duck was lazing around in the cool water. "Cluck, cluck, will you help me plant this wheat?" said the little red hen. "Quack, quack, not I. Maybe I will help you later when I am finished with my swim," said the duck. "Cluck, cluck, then I will do it myself," said the little red hen. So the little red hen went off on her own, out to the field, and found a nice spot to plant the wheat. When she was finished, she went back to the barn to rest. Soon, when the wheat had grown tall and golden yellow, the hen became excited to make bread from it. But first, she had to harvest it. "Cluck, who will help me cut the wheat?" asked the little red hen. "Not I," oinked the pig, who was lying in some mud. "Not I," meowed the cat, who was taking a cat nap. "Not I," quacked the duck, as he waddled back to the pond. "Cluck, cluck, then I will do it myself," said the little red hen. Once the wheat had been ground into flour, the little red hen knew it was time to bake the bread. "Cluck, who will help me bake the bread?" she asked, although she already predicted what the answer would be. "Not I," oinked the pig. "Not I," meowed the cat. "Not I," quacked the duck. "Cluck, cluck, then I will do it myself," said the little red hen. So she made the flour into a loaf of bread and put it into the oven. Then she sat and rested. Soon, as the bread became hot and soft, the air filled with the sweet smell of freshly baked bread. The pig and the cat and the duck all came running into the big red barn. "Ah, who will help me eat this bread? Cluck! Who will help me eat this bread?" said the little red hen. "I will," oinked the pig. "I will," meowed the cat. "I will," quacked the duck. "Cluck, cluck, well," said the hen. "Did you help me plant the wheat? And did you help me harvest the wheat? And did you help me mill the wheat? And did you help me bake the bread?" The other animals all shook their heads no. "Then I will eat the bread myself," said the little red hen. And she did. On a time, there lived a cunning fox in a big forest. The fox was very proud of his intelligence. One day, he was very hungry and wandering in search of food. He was so hungry that it could not even walk. Suddenly, he saw a rooster up on the roof of the house. After seeing the rooster, the fox started drooling and building castles in the air. He thought of eating the rooster. The fox made a plan to bring the rooster onto the ground, and then it would eat him up. The fox pretended to be the rooster's friend. "Oh, my friend Rooster, I am seeing you after a very long time. You seem to have lost some weight and have become very weak. Come down and let me count your pulse and see what is wrong," said the cunning fox. "You are my dear fox. I am feeling very exhausted and weak. I can't even come down from the rooftop," replied the clever rooster. The fox realized that the rooster was too clever for him. The rooster started laughing. The fox was embarrassed and ran as fast as he could. Once upon a time, there was a fox that was very hungry. One afternoon, a fox was walking through the forest and spotted a bunch of grapes hanging from over a lofty branch. "Just the thing to quench my thirst," he thought. Taking a few steps back, the fox jumped and just missed the hanging grapes. Again, the fox took a few paces back and tried to reach them. Finally, giving up, the fox turned up his nose and said, "They're probably sour anyway," and proceeded to walk away. Moral of the story: it's easy to despise what you cannot have.